Is up. Hey, everybody, welcome. We've gone live on YouTube right now. We are here today inside of Syndicate Talks. We've got a little guest panel with us as well, a couple of people in our live studio audience digitally. And of course, we're coming to you hot and heavy from that lovely little empire building place just outside of Edmonton, Alberta. Leduc in my office cul-de-sac. And I am Mitch Kamage, the Savage in Business. And this is a Syndicate Talks Season 2. And today it's Conquer Sales, or as we're going to put it, inside of December 16th of 2020, dating myself, yes, there's a Christmas tree in the background right now. You're all going to have to live with it. But Conquer Sales. What do we do? It is Christmas in a pandemic. What do we do in the future? Because our marketplace, well, let's be frank, has been terrible for a lot longer than the last 9 months. In fact, in many instances, for many businesses have been struggling for a while, years, in fact. If we take our current marketplace for a moment, before I introduce my guest panel with us today to give you the hot and heavy, to give you the ready injection of meat that you're going to need to make your business thrive, it's this. If we take our marketplace, the marketplace I'm talking from right now, Alberta, and in the Edmonton area, we had an oil and gas downturn that started in 2014, and that has continued to dominate our economic landscape 6 years later. We have had a market correction in real estate in our marketplace 4 times since 2007. In 13 years, real estate has gone up and down violently 4 times. Oil and gas has taken a beating twice in that period of time. Other segments and sectors, right now in the middle of a pandemic, in restaurants, you don't want to be in food service because about half are collapsing and the other half have never had higher sales. There's never been more have and have not than we have right now. There's nobody in the midst of all of this. And one of the ways that we mitigate this and all of the things that make businesses bulletproof are some simple truths. First of all, how much cash do I have? What is the brick of money I got and how long is it going to last? And most of us are terrible at managing that. Next, how far can my business stretch out in the marketplace? And third, how often do I talk to people about what it is that I do? It's that last one, which is why we're here today and what we wanted to give you inside of Syndicate. So if you're tuning in for the very first time, you're watching live on YouTube, you're going to come and enjoy this later on. What the hell is this guy talking about? The dude with the beard with the Christmas tree wearing a shirt that says Savage Business. What does that even mean? Syndicate is an organization that started with an idea of being able to give a closed community, a community where business owners, entrepreneurs, innovators, and creators could come together, find resources, network, leverage, and grow their businesses. When the pandemic snapped into place in March, our business pivoted. There's a fancy word that we're all hearing an awful lot about right now. Pivoted and said, how do we provide even more? How do we provide and give back? Where do we come from a position of strength? And in the case of Syndicate, we were collecting this wonderful little treasure trove of absolute industry experts, people that are exceptional at the job they do in their businesses, are sitting at the top of the food chain inside of each one of their market pillars. Inside of the stratification, businesses consistently and continuously are one of the best. So what do we do when other people are struggling? We educate people. And so inside of Syndicate, we launched Syndicate Talks Season 1, and that put 14 episodes, 15 hours of content into place, talking about marketing, sales, hiring, real estate, etc., all just to give you the best of education. And now we are into Season 2, not because a pandemic's ongoing, but because we still have so much more to give. So buckle up, get ready, because this will be, if I get what I want, only about 30 minutes or so of talking time. But in that 30 minutes, if your business, whether you are a solopreneur, whether you are helming hundreds of employees, these are truths. They are facts and they're immutable laws of business. And when it comes to sales, there are some things that everybody can learn a little better. But I want this to target right at those businesses that are struggling the most right now, or more importantly, those businesses that are really looking to even get started inside of a pandemic. So 30, 60, 90 days is critically important because at any given time, chances are we never have more money than what we do to last the next 30, 60, or 90 days. So how do we create an absolute effect, a change and a shift? And that's why my panel is here today. Now, if you've never met them before, which if you're watching on YouTube Live and you are in Bangladesh, you are in Okotoks, you're in New Jersey, it doesn't matter where you are, you've likely never heard these names before. but you need to pay attention because they are part of my panel and part of the expertise that I can bring to you. Mr. Wes Kowalchuk and Mrs. Lynne Karlowich are here to join us today. I'm going to give each of them about 10 seconds just to tell you why you need to listen to them. And then I'm going to start hitting the information. And of course, I'll give you some context about me first. Mitch Kamich. I'm the guy that helped to build Cyndicate. I run a cute little company colloquially called Mitch Kamich Coaching. I work with people with their businesses and why you should listen to me in the next 30 minutes or so of your life. I've done this successfully with almost 360 businesses and created $1.5 billion in revenue in 7 years. Listen to me because I'm giving you the stuff that I do with people that pay me every day for free. Wes and Lynne both have similar stories. They could both tell you why you should listen because success breeds success. Wes, why don't we go with you first? Tell the nice folks that are joining us live, will be watching in the future, what it is that Wes does wonderfully as well and what they should expect out of you and the information, the education we're going to be giving to them for free today. Oh, you're on mute, brother.
You're on mute.
Technical difficulties. Please stand by.
Thanks, Mitch, for that introduction. Everyone, my name's Wes Kowalchuk with Business Impact Coaching. I'm a marketing strategist and a business breakthrough specialist. I essentially help business owners in the service industry go from chaos to clarity, help them increase their revenue and help them buy back their time, right? So you might want to just take some notes, right? Mitch talks about grabbing a notepad and a writing stick, get it out because you are going to fill it up today.
Awesome. Lynne, for me, you need no introduction, but I want you to introduce yourself to the world today. Lynne, tell us who you are.
Lynne Karlowich with Rapid Boost Marketing. We are a digital marketing agency, and we have currently over 300 clients and have done over 2,000 projects. And we are helping businesses grow even during this pandemic. So this is why you need to listen to me.
Now, context for our panel. Again, our live studio audience and everybody live on YouTube right now, that was really, really modest out of both of my guest speakers. And I'm gesturing like this because right next to me on the screen, I got Wes over here and I got Lynne over here. Rapid Boost is becoming one of the largest marketing firms in our marketplace and expanding nationally and internationally. And Wes's business is sucking up coaches and clients inside of many sectors inside of business like nobody's business, because in a pandemic, you can imagine people need help. And guess what happens? Time and again, from either Lynne or Wes, people make more money, businesses run better, and they are saner because of it as a business owner, which means that in a pandemic with up to 50% business failure, depending on segment, and employment up to 30 or 40%, depending on segment, et cetera, that these people just make other people money. So with that in mind, again, thanks Wes for saying it. Make sure you got these because we're going to give you 30, 60, 90-day playbook. And Lynne and Wes, the very first question I'm going to ask you, and this is always both the curveball, but the expected one. If you had to wipe the slate clean today and start over fresh, nothing, no resources, no business, no tools, etc., what would be the very first act? Less than 30 seconds for each of you. What would be the very first thing you would do? Wes, you go first.
The very first thing I would do is I would go find a starving audience to fill a need.
Okay, brilliant, brilliant. Lynne, how about you?
Create a website. More than ever, we are in a digital world. In order to find that starving audience, you need a website. So that would be the very first thing.
Brilliant. Now I'm going to provide just a tiny bit of context because I'm going to ask questions. And I know for the marketing and for the sales professionals, you guys are also going to answer in really short form. So I'm going to provide the bridge for education. Wes just talked about finding or going to somebody that you know is going to want or need something. And Lynne talked about the very first way you're going to reach out to them, your website. In a pandemic, we cannot go meet each other face to face. So what do we have to do? First steps in sales as well. And Wes and Lynne, I want you guys to both color in on this as well. Finding your prospect or your lead pool. In other words, who are the people that I want to talk to who think they're going to do business? And then give them something to look at. So after we find a target audience that we think could buy something and we give them something to look at, okay, so we got a website and we got a prospect pool. What is our next behavior? What's the next thing we do? Lynn, why don't you go first?
After that, you would, well, then you'd start marketing your website. Absolutely. I would definitely start on a lead generation in order to get the cash flow going, to get the rest of the marketing on point. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Lead generation, fancy word for what? Wes, talk us through it.
Finding customers for your business. Once you've found your starving audience, and it goes back to a story, if you're going to build a hamburger stand, you want to have a starving audience before you even build your hamburger stand. Otherwise, building the hamburger stand's moot. But if you have a starving audience, what's even better is you can sell hamburgers at a way higher price and make way more profit. So one of the things, once I've got that starving audience figured out, then I need to find out what is their biggest problem that I can solve for them, right? And then in solving that problem, how am I going to communicate it to them? What message am I going to use? And what is my story? Why am I the best guy to be able to serve those hamburgers to that starving audience?
Love that. And so I'm going to take that, I'm going to ping pong that right back over to Lynn for a moment. We talk about taking that message and communicating people to generate that starving audience, to get them to buy those hamburgers from the hamburger stand. How important is that message, and what do we need to be mindful of when we're passing that message on, Lynn?
And I think you really need to start with, you have to understand what everybody is going through right now, especially right now. Yeah. Continue on to Wes. Sorry, lost train of thought there.
That's absolutely fine. And I'm deliberately putting you guys on the spot right now because now, listen, you guys are both experts. You're absolute experts. And let me give some context. Wes and I get an opportunity to share business, the environment that we're in. Lynn and I get to work together inside of Rapid Boost as well. I get the opportunity to touch on both of their businesses, and we coordinate amongst each other's lives. It is simple. It is really, really simple. So let me summarize for you guys right now, and then I'm going to get you guys to continue to provide context. You go, Mitch, this doesn't seem really, really well structured. Well, how organized do I have to be in sales? I don't. I have to know who I'm going to talk to. I have to wait to talk to them. And then I have to do what? I have to start talking to people. It's really that simple. We're going to start in 30 days. So for people paying attention at home, get a website. Find your audience, probably people that are going to be hungry or starving. And I love Wes's analogy about a hamburger stand. Figure out where that hamburger stand is going to need to go to. Then how are you going to tell people that you're selling hamburgers? Where can they find you to buy hamburgers? And when you know that you got the right audience to talk to, well, Mitch, how do I know it's the right audience? Do you have something to sell to somebody that they want right now? And we're in the middle of a pandemic, so let's use hamburgers as an analogy just for food. Inside of food service, I'll go back to that for a moment. We have haves and have-nots. Yet the people that are haves in food service right now are breaking sales records every weekend thanks to takeout. In our marketplace, I know a restaurant that's 4 blocks from my home that broke their opening weekend sales record back in September. And they've consistently broken it every weekend since, even though right now we're in a lockdown, because more people are taking out food and booze than at any other time. They're making more money. They don't need their dining room open. They're doing more business with takeout than they ever did by sitting people at a table. Yet I know of a very vulnerable chain inside of our marketplace, been around for over 40 years, that is dead. In fact, the actual language inside the management team is we're done. So why is that different? Are they really talking to a different place? Really talking to a different market? No, but they're talking to people in a different way, which means the way they present themselves. Now, the one that's succeeding compared to one that isn't has a much better website. They made it much easier to find. They know who their audience is. And in fact, because it's in my neighborhood as well, they know who you're talking to. They know what those people are looking for. Going back to Wes's points as well. So when we want to start off, I'm going to get some sense from you guys on articulation for a moment. It pays to go, how do I find a starting audience? Where do I find them? Who are they going to be? It pays to give them something to look at to be able to find them. It pays to start communicating. What do we have to tell them? What do we say? What gets a starving audience to transact? What gets them to trigger onto us? Because I will not use the names of these companies because I likely don't want to get sued, but I will not use the names of these companies simply because the moment I do, you know instantly, you know exactly what it is, and you can tell the difference between the two. But they know who their audience is. What do we say and how do we say it? because the one that's winning is doing it really well, and the one that isn't, the only difference between them, and their market is identical. The same people that are buying from the one that's winning are exactly the same people that are not buying from the one that has just crapped the bed and is collapsing. So what do we say and how do we say it? Because sales is all in message. Wes, do you want to buy? Wes, do you want to buy? Wes, do you want to buy? I'm not going to do it.
No.
But when I change or when I pick the right way to deliver to the starving audience, response comes quick.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll jump in here. One of the things that I teach my clients to figure out in their messaging to help bring in more clients, more leads, is in their messaging, do you use the conversion equation? It's a 4-step equation that we use, that we measure every piece of marketing we do. And that conversion starts with your interrupt headline. Does your headline resonate with the problem that your prospect is having? Right? Because if it does, he's going to put his hand up. Right? He's going to hit the brakes as he's driving down the highway when he sees that billboard. Conversely, all the other marketing that you see out there is call me so I can sell you my stuff, right? So this is a totally different aspect. So interrupt. Then the second heading is engage. It's engagement. Here's how we can solve that for you. And then educate them. A little blurb on education, whether it's a 2-minute copy or whether it's a 30-second video, and then offer them something that they can't say no to, that they have to say yes to, right? I call that the irresistible offer, right? And what that does is it doesn't trigger the fight or flight reflex in your brain, but it gets them to put their hand up saying, hey, I need to know more about that. I want more of that. And so that allows you to get the message out there. And in that simple process, by getting them to opt in for a free report or opt in for your irresistible offer, you're getting them to put their hand up saying, hey, I'm interested. And now you can start to nurture them as a lead. You can start to get them to learn to like, know, and trust you. Because once they trust you and you've educated them, they're going to buy from you at the end of the buyer's journey. They're not going to go somewhere else going, well, he's cheaper over here. That's not going to be the case. And this is the issue that I run into all the time with clients going, well, we just need to discount more. Well, no, you add value. Don't discount, because if you discount, you're going out of business.
Yeah.
Now you've talked about something incredibly important, Lynn. I'm going to flip over to you for a moment because we're talking about messaging, creating an offer. So we've got a starving audience and we give them something to look at, a website. We think about the thing that they're going to want. We articulate it. We frame that in a way that says you're going to need or want this. And I heard something important out of Wes. And Lynn, you and I talked about this yesterday. You don't ask them for money.
No.
I have something you need and want. Let's talk about it. So Lynn, when we get into those kinds of conversations with people, what is really important for people to focus on inside of sales? Because remember, this is the cheat sheet, the playbook, right? And when we get into that, we get to that point, we convey enticing and inducing messages. We tell them something they're going to want and need, and we show it to them in a way that says that this is going to help satisfy that need or that want. And the sacrifice they're going to make is not a sacrifice as well. It's going to be a gain. But people still are going to say no and ask questions. So what do we do when they say no and ask questions?
We just continue to ask, what do you mean? What do you mean? When they ask the questions. But I think you really need to find those pain points too and have a solution to every one of them. And back to what Wes said, the value. You have to show the value, especially right now, because nobody's opening their wallet very freely right now. So the value has to be answered quickly in order to get this. I had a client last week. She was desperate because she knows her competitors are out there doing the digital marketing and she needs to keep up. So she was desperate. And so first few, I always ask a lot of questions, your challenges, your expectations out of digital marketing. And I ask all these questions in the same sequence that I'm waiting for them to hear. I'm waiting for them to say out loud, I want my business to grow. And as soon as they say that, well, then I can answer that immediately, right? So when they say that, again, I lost track of thought. I continue with the questions and going through the pain points. So, but I answer every single one of them. I listen carefully, let them finish, and answer every single one of them. And then it touches those pain points for them, right? And same with this woman last week. She immediately bought. She couldn't buy it fast enough. She was calling, she was emailing, but it's because I touched that really specific pain point for her. So she went right forward with it. I mean, and that goes back to the listening and being very, very sincere with your answers and with your solutions. Knowing and believing that you can provide that solution means everything to them. The sincerity. Trust goes back to trust. Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to reset from that because you said something important and I am walking you guys towards something. You guys are both experts. You know what I'm doing. You know where I'm walking you into, but I'm going to reset all of it again for a moment, and not reset to restart the conversation, but frame it for everybody. So if I start knowing who my audience is going to be, and then I start by knowing what's going to make them go, ouch. And when they say, ouch, what all the symptoms are that lead them to say, ouch. Then I can give them something. Messaging, to Wes's point. Overcoming objections, dealing with people that are going to do their best job at talking themselves out of doing something to take the pain away. If we identify well enough at the beginning, so we start with a website, and we start with an audience, and we start with knowing what they want and need, what makes them hurt. When we know what makes them hurt, we can talk to them about that. We can talk about the way we take pain away. And all that time, we're talking about increasing and building value, putting them in a spot where things are better. Things have moved to neutral. Things have taken pain away. Things have changed. Now, people are desperately afraid of change. It's always something that they'll object to as well. But when you frame that well enough ahead of time, now you're overcoming the biggest barrier that we always have in sales, which is, what if somebody says no? Now, if we can remove when somebody says no, so we have, right now what we're talking about is we have a website, we know who our audience is, we know what they're going to say no to or what's going to make them say ouch. We know how what we provide helps. How quickly, your guys' expert opinion, how quickly can that happen? So you set up your website, you pick your audience, you know what's going to make them say ouch, and you know what's going to take the pain away. How fast can this happen?
I think it can happen fairly quickly. Now, are you, just to clarify, are you asking how fast can the business owner set that up to make it happen, or how fast does the client go through that process?
Both.
So the client can go through that process really relatively quickly, and it, depending on what the price of the item is, you know, whether it's a high ticket item or a low ticket item. But essentially, it could be a matter of days, could be a matter of weeks, could be a matter of months. It's finding that pain point for that client that gets them to the point where they have to take action. Staying the same is not an option, right? And if you find that pain point, that's a problem. That's what I talk about. I'm going to show you this. Everybody know what that is? That's an iceberg, right? Think about how deep the water is right next to that little peninsula, because most of that iceberg is down here. Like, it's way down here, right? That's probably 1,000 feet deep. When we start, most salespeople, most business owners, we start talking about pain. As soon as we get the tip of the iceberg, we stop asking questions and we go right to the solution. But that's not the problem. We need to dig deeper to find that pain point for that client, for that prospect. So when they realize that they have to take action, they cannot stay the same, the sales process is over, right? You just have to negotiate the deal is all it is, right? That
It doesn't
process
always go fast though.
that.
Yeah.
No.
There's can be a really long format. I mean, you can have the conversation, do the intros, then you do the follow-up, then you do the meets, then you do the connections and nurture, pitches and offers, follow-up, and then back to nurture. It's just continuous cycle, right? And some of them it just goes on and on and on. But that's okay. As soon as you sit back and reevaluate your conversation and your information that you're feeding them and go, okay, obviously I haven't been clear enough. I haven't been providing enough information. As soon as you kind of do that and keep asking them more questions, then it seems to speed up a little bit. But for some businesses, there's that huge lull in between.
So I'm gonna change. Sorry, Wes, go ahead.
So I was just going to throw in there that lull that we experienced going from, onboarding to a closed sale. That lull is the process that the client or prospect is going through and learning to know, like, and trust you. If
Right.
you can get
Exactly.
better at building that rapport, get better at communicating with them, better at digging deep and identifying their pain points and telling them what their pain is in a way that makes them go, hey, he can solve this. They know how to do this. Then that shortens up that pain period, and not pain period, but it shortens up that transition period. So you can in a matter of 4 or 5 meetings conclude your process, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we're not talking about going to Amazon and buying a widget off Amazon here. We're talking about we're talking about some bigger stuff.
So I love the both of you for coming on here, because you played along really nice right now. And I did this deliberately yesterday in the Syndicate talks we shot yesterday, where I walked people into a conversation, then got to a point where I want you guys' feedback, because I think, and this is a challenge to both of you right now, so you can sweat it or you can come at it cool hand Luke style, right? Wild West gunslinger. But I have a challenge to you to help me fill in the blanks on something, because I've walked you guys into the frame I want people to take away today. So I give you guys complete permission to add whatever extra information, but I want to give them a framework to work from right now. We want to call it a cheat sheet, 30, 60, 90 days, whatever it is, because you've just talked about process, both of you, the method of delivery. So here's your language. There's a person, there's a process, and there's a tool. It's that simple. There's only 3 things to do. And under people, I want you to put yourself, or the business owner. And the business owner has an offering, an idea. There's things they do and things they provide. And under the person framework, we have a customer or a client. And I want you to think of that customer or client in Wes's words and to what Lynne's been saying. What do they need? What do they want? What makes them say, ouch? What hurts? What's the stuff that's going to make them say no, etc.? So on the people side, there's only 2 people in the entire equation when it comes to sales. There's us, the business owner, the salesperson, and then there's the customer. And the customer's needs and wants and stuff. And we talked about a hamburger stand earlier on too. Well, that person's going to be hungry. They're going to be hungry and they're going to want a hamburger. They're going to know they can get a good hamburger for someplace else for good value. They're going to want to know that they're going to be treated the right way when they get that hamburger. So you can take this little exercise for you as the business owner, and that customer buying a hamburger is a great way to fill in the blanks for that. But there's you. What do you give people? What do you have? So for you, what do you give? What do you offer? What's it worth? Answer those 3 questions for yourself. For the customer, what do they need? What do they want? What makes them say, ouch? If we understand that, then we can go to the next side. Then we go to process. What do I have to do? Well, I have to do something. Well, we talked about a website. Website's a tool, right? Process. So what am I going to say? How am I going to say it? How am I going to find them? When am I going to talk to them? And instead of process, what Lynne talked about as well is a sales process, meaning we have repetition of behavior. So when I call somebody, do I call somebody one time? Do I reach out to them on Zoom? Do I find them on Facebook and Instagram? If you want to learn how to market and lead generate effectively, this is not the seminar for you. This is your short-term cheat sheet playbook for sales. You want marketing? We have multiple marketing seminars on Syndicate Talks. Check out our YouTube page, Syndicate Talks Season 1. Lots of stuff in there for YouTube, Facebook, and other things like that. So there's our plug for something else. No, but inside the process, now we need a method for doing it, because when we get a hold of somebody one time, unless they tell us to get lost, it's not one and done. Every time I talk to them, what am I going to say? How am I going to say? What is this doing? It's building processes. If we know what they want and need, we know what to tell them ahead of time. But right now, that's just me talking to you. That's me talking to Wes or Lynne or anybody else on this call, telling you what I think you want to hear. So to Lynne's point, you have to ask questions. But inside a process, there's a mechanism, there's a way, there's a method to do this. And to do that and to make it a cheat sheet, so we call them. And after we call them, have we talked to them or not? If we've talked to them, can we book a meeting? After we book a meeting, we have to follow up. If we follow up and now's not the time, then we have to keep communicating with them over and over and over again until they've told us that it's become so irresistible, in Wes's terms, so irresistible for them, so compelling that they have to say yes, that they're going to say, how does this work? What does it cost? When we look at process and we look at establishing value in the people to start with, I didn't tell you to tell me or tell yourself what it's worth. I told you to figure out the value you provide for what you offer. There's you, there's what you offer, and there's the value it has. People will pay a price based on perceived value. So when it comes to the customer, what do they need and want? What's their pain points? What makes them say, ouch? Why is what you offer of value to take away their pain or give them something they don't have? Now, when it comes to the person, for one, I'm going to provide a little bit of clarity and context. That customer is only going to think of things in one of two ways. Either there's so much of it, abundance, they have to have it, or there's so little of it and they're so scared to not get theirs, there's scarcity. We're actually very simple animals. We'll make those decisions for one or the other reason. Either we have to get ours or we're afraid it's going to go away. So when we talk to people in process, how repetitively do we make sure they know enough about the value that we provide against the pain that they've got, that we can effectively take it away? Because success in sales inside a process only comes because we're willing to repeatedly reach out to people. So for a process, a sales process to work effectively for the next 30 days, next 60 and 90 days, to make more bank, to get more money in your pocket, means that you have to be willing to talk to people multiple times. You have to be willing to reach out. You have to be willing to know that even though they've got pain and you understand it, and they're willing to answer all the questions, they're still going to say what sounds like no. Because you need to continue to work with them until the value is so overwhelming, the offer becomes so much and so repetitively, persistently, I either get what I need or it takes away something that I don't want anymore that now I have to buy. And from there, you talk about the tools that you need, the way you're going to deliver what you're going to provide. So we've already identified a website. We're in the modern world and we're in a pandemic right now. If your business doesn't have an effective or an active website, that's a problem. If it doesn't have a business or effective presence on social media, that's a problem. If your business doesn't have a phone number and a phone to work with, that's a problem. These are all tools. They're ways for you over here. Remember the people side, who you are and what you stand for and the value that you bring, the stuff that you offer people. Then you have no way to deliver that message because now it's only dependent on you 2 or 4 or 8 or 12 or 15 hours a day to talk to people one-to-one like this. So instead, if you want to fast start your business in 30 days, what is the way you're taking that message from the beginning and what that customer is, the pain they've got, and conveying it across? Wes, Lynn, am I missing something here?
No, I think you're right on point there, Mitch. If people are looking for a process, like they need to have sales in the next 30 days or their business goes under, they have to come at it with a mindset of I'm willing to do what it takes. If they don't have that mindset, they're going to leave the back door open. You know the story of Troy and the Greeks and the boats, right? Now is the time to burn the boats, right? Otherwise, it's not going to happen. It doesn't matter whether your process is good or bad. If your mindset's not right, you're still going to fail. You have to go into it with the right mindset. If you have the right mindset and the crappy process, you're still going to get clients. It's still going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think a competitor analysis is good on this part too. If they're sitting there hunkered down and they're not quite sure if they want to move forward, then you can bring out what their competitors are doing because they want to keep up with them. So then you can bring that forward. And I mean, that's all part of the decision-making process as well, mind you. But I think that's important. But other than that, Mitch, no, I think you were pretty bang on. Mm-hmm.
So we're going to take that because I knew that would have to be one of the last pieces, because when we identify in that people side, us and our customer, okay, one thing that always bears weight on both of those over on this side, and Lynn, I knew it would come out of one of you at some point, competition. Now there's 2 different sets of competition in the people category. There's us, whoever we are as a person, and who our competitors are, because when we talk about the things that we provide, the needs and wants that we satisfy, and the value that we bring, we also want to be able to identify how we're different. People want better or different or more. When people are the client or customer that you've got and the potential pain points for you to take away, people want to know how this makes them better than their competitors. They also want to know what their competitors are doing, which means when I'm going to look, when Wes is going to look, when Lynn is going to look to be able to satisfy needs and wants and take away pain points, and we want to do it under that tool side, communication, website, etc. And we want inside of that process, people want to know that whatever they're getting is different. It's made them better. That's taking away pain. That's adding value and contributing. And so when we look at the people, it also pairs to understand what your competition is doing, and then whoever your customer or your audience is, what their competitors are doing too. If you're going to get it to work with a shitty process, but a great attitude, in other words, as Wes put it, sail your boat up on the beach, burn the boat, because now you have to win. There's no going back. Then it pays to know what makes you stand out, and it pays to know what your customer is going to have different because of what you provide them. Mm-hmm. Product, service, or commodity. It's only one of three things. I'm either getting you to do something, I'm buying something you build, or I'm getting something that satisfies a need and a want. Does mine make any of those things better for you? And then repetition, repetition, repetition. Or, I'm sure Wes can say this, and I know Lynn will say this as well, call until they tell you to piss off.
100%.
Then call their competition.
Yes. Yeah.
So-and-so didn't want to talk to me. Are you willing to listen?
That's great. It's so true. Just move down the line, right? Yeah.
One of the processes I just want to bring out is in the process of doing, trying to find your ideal customer, you want to make sure that you're not spinning your wheels on someone that's never going to buy. We all heard the tire kickers, right? So in your first call, whoever has the first contact with that customer, potential customer, whether it's your receptionist, secretary, customer service desk, or you as the owner, you have to pre-qualify, right? You have to find out, hey, what is it that you need? And then start asking them about budget. Where's your budget at? You can't use the word budget, but you have to, look at how to identify what they're willing to spend. And then, based on that, get into some of the other details around that phone call. But because most of my clients are in the service space, if they're going to drive all the way out to do a home inspection or do a home service and identify in their quote, hey, you got this much square footage that we need to fix or whatever, right? I get my clients to tell their prospects on the phone, hey, if I drive all the way out there to provide this quote for you and you don't buy from me, I will send you a $200 quote bill, right, for me driving out there. So the idea is they pre-qualify them before they get there. And so that when they get there, they know they're going to sell them. It's that simple, right? It's that conversation. So that way, you're getting rid of the tire kickers, and you're only dealing with people that are actually going to buy your stuff. You just have to figure out what their biggest problem is, what their biggest pain point, and then educate them on how your service will solve that problem for them in the best way.
That's right. If you have
Lynne,
to beg for a sale, it's just not worth it. You just move on. For me, that's a chasing the no. That's a no, moving on to the next. Absolutely. Yeah.
I was going to say, Wes couldn't have set that up any better, and you did it without me asking. Chase the no. Now, best language in the world for anybody inside of sales, and we're talking the next 30 days, the next 60 days, the next 90 days. So there's you and there's your competition. What makes you different? There's your potential client or customer and the crap they want and need and the pain they're going through, and their competitors. So how do they stand out with whatever you provide? How does it make them better? How does it make them more comfortable at home? How does it make their life a little better? How does it taste better, the burger that you're selling them? How does your business or your service make them or their business better because of what they've got? And then we got the process, repetition, repetition, repetition. But to Wes's point and Lynne's language internal, which I loved her saying this because I've been educating people on sales for years now. And the very first thing we say to brand new salespeople is chase a no. The faster I get you to tell me no, not interested, the more time I've got to do other things. To get on another call, to call a competitor, whatever it is. The faster I get you to qualify that this is not for you, then I don't have to do the work. And that saves my time. If I've got 30 days, I have to burn the boats to take the island. My boat comes up, everybody gets out, we burn the boats. It's like, well, we're either going to win or we're going to die. Then the faster I get you to say no, the better it is for me. Because now I'm not wasting my time.
Salesperson chasing the no. Why wouldn't you want that challenge? That's the best challenge of all. Yeah.
So I'm going to summarize very quickly again right now. We have 4 people in the people category. So write the word people. We've got you, and we've got your next closest competitor. And under you, we've got what you offer. We've got what the value is, and we've got how you're different than your competition. Then we've got your potential client, customer, what they need and want, and what really makes them say, ouch, what's going to make them stand out. And now we're going to look at their competition. How is whatever you're going to provide make them better, different, smarter, faster, stronger, or more comfortable? In the case of selling burgers, how are they going to have a better meal than the guy sitting at the desk next to them? Yeah, you keep bringing fridge food home. Take a look at what I just ate. This burger's badass. It is brilliant. It's the best burger I've ever had in my entire life, and it has changed my life. We've all eaten at least one meal that we thought was evolutionary and changed our life. We've all eaten one meal where we went, the experience of the food far outweighs the nutritional value. And for most of us, it's far more nutritional value than we really need. I think we can agree in a pandemic, right? But then we go over to process, and process is repetition. It means, what do? I know the people I want to talk to. Do I know where to reach them? Do I know how to get a hold of them? Can I call them? Can I email them? Can I message them on LinkedIn? Whatever it's going to be. What's the way I'm going to do it? And am I willing to invest the time? Wash, rinse, and repeat. I'm going to start with a list of, 10 people, 20 people, 100 people, 1,000 people. And I'm going to start from the top. I'm going to work my way to the bottom. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to the top and work my way to the bottom. And then I go back up to the top and work my way to the bottom. And every time I get a no, I scratch a name out. And every time I get a maybe later, what am I going to do? Follow up with them tomorrow, a week after, a month after. And I'm going to keep working that repetitively. And meanwhile, over here, I've got my website, which is doing what? Talking about me, talking about the pain those people and those potential customers are going through, talking about how we're different and how they're going to be different because of it. And nowhere along that line am I going to ask you for money. I'm going to establish value. This is what you're going to get. And then I'm going to make an offer. You have to get this because it's going to take away your pain or make your life better.
Yeah.
Then we can talk about money. Then my repetition of message and time has a chance to get me to communicate with people just like this.
And strategy is a huge thing. You have to provide them a very solid strategy so that they know what they're going into 100%. Mm-hmm.
So as the final bit, Wes, Lynn, would you say that if people know what to expect when they buy whatever you've got and know what to expect what comes next, that removes that final barrier, which is people hate change. And if they know what to expect, then they run out of excuses.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yes. It's very important they know what they're getting. Because
So
for them, right now, it's a huge investment with anything that they're purchasing or anything that they're moving forward. It is a very large investment, especially right now. So they need to know almost step by step exactly what they're going to be getting. And when they can see that and when they can have a whole outline of that, they understand it more, then they're going to go forward with it. And the trust again, it goes back to the trust at the very beginning of the conversation. They have to trust you when you're presenting this strategy to them. Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right. Wes and Lynn, it's 30 days. Final thoughts. Us, our customers, being relentless in our pursuit of being able to communicate with people and making sure we've got basic tools in place to do it. Are we missing anything for somebody to start with a 30-day playbook to get things either restarted or to get things started for the first time?
I would think the only thing that we haven't really touched on is something Dan Kennedy talks about all the time, which is marketing triangle: the market, the message, and the media. Identify that before you even get started, and then the rest of the strategy will fall in place. But without that, you're just going to waste all your time and effort.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So pre-planning process, we've got us, we've got the customer, we've got our competitors, we've got their competitors, and then we have pre-planning, taking all of that and identifying who and how and where we're going to communicate.
Yeah.
Before we start the wash, rinse, and repeat cycle of talking to them.
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
Then we have website, we have social media, and we have phone. Succinct, simple.
Yeah.
Simple for the beginning.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else we can think of that they would need for a shopping list? So write down who you are and what you do and why you're different. Write down why you're different from your competitors. Write down what your potential audience, customers and clients are going to look like, what they need and want. know what's going to make them, with whatever they take from you, stand out or be different from their competition. We're going to give them more value. And then do some planning. What and how and where we're going to deliver. Dan Kennedy's triangle, thank you for bringing up that. It's really quite simple. How and what and where am I going to deliver my messaging, which tells us what tools we have to put in place. Do I want it to be a website? Do I want it to be on Instagram? Do I want to just phone people for a living? Do I want to meet them on an endless series of webinars? Do I want to have people invite other people to a webinar and they can listen to what I have to say or what I'm talking about? Do I want product sales on Instagram? Do I need a sales page set up? Do I need an online store? That triangle is going to set that framework, and then we have 30 days. Who are we going to talk to, and how often are we going to reach out to them repetitively? Wash, rinse, and repeat based on the triangle for what format, what way we're going to deliver. Anything else we can think of?
Features, advantages, benefits. Back to that on every one of those conversations. Yeah.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, something that is frightening and terrifying for most people in this world, did we just simplify?
I hope so.
In the best language of Step Brothers, did we just become best friends? Absolutely. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it. That is all the information you're going to need. You should have written it down. If you didn't, why not? We warned you at the beginning, you're going to need these. And we tried to simplify it as quickly as possible. And we started conversational and we went to very, very specific. Now, the people on this call with me today are experts at what they do. Well, Mitch, of course they can do this. They do this for an entire living. Everybody has their very first day selling. Everybody has their very first time they're told no. And everybody has their very first time they get to yes. We are only doing what we are capable of doing, but when we change the way we ask people to pay attention to what we offer them, we build an immeasurable amount of value, and we can take away pain and want and need that they have. Even if it's just selling a hamburger, we have the opportunity in as little as 30 days to make a difference in our business. Wes and Lynne, thank you so much for coming in and joining us. And you need to find them, of course, online. We're going to make sure that in the notes for this episode after, their businesses are tagged in there. You can find them wherever you need to. Their social accounts are going to get bounced into there as well. And you need to reach out to them, reach out to us, or more importantly, surround yourself with a good tribe of people, because the last part about sales, which we didn't touch on, and I kept that selfishly to myself at the end, is sales goes a hell of a lot quicker when you surround yourself with good people, because good people refer to you all the time. So get a good circle of people around you, find a network, and grow and develop and invest in people. And funny enough, you will make more sales because of it. On behalf of Wes and Lynne, on behalf of my partners, Ben and Ali, on behalf of the entire Cyndicate family, thank you for joining us on a Cyndicate Talks Season 2, Conquer Sales, your 30-day playbook to either get you started or restart what you're working on. Write the notes, follow through the behavior, reach out to these two experts, follow up with me or anywhere else. There are lots of wonderful experts to do with sales that can give you any number of the same information that we just did in a slightly different way to tell you that in 30 days, you can create an impact on your business, create more money, generate more revenue. And of course, if you sail the boat up to the beach and you jump off and burn the boat, help you to win no matter what. Wes, Lynne, thank you for joining us. This is a Cyndicate Talks Season 2. Merry Christmas to you. The tree's there, I've got to say it. Go forward, conquer inside of your business, conquer through sales, make something happen that is good for you in your life, give something back to the world that is of value, and of course, make an impact and a difference in your life. Have a wonderful day, a great season, and we will see you all soon on our next Cyndicate Talks. Have a great day, people.
Thank you.